Good evening or morning, everybody. This is JD. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about something that, no, I can't put exact figures on. I can't put exact. And actually, it may all be hearsay. But I want you to listen to it and think about it for a while. There are some things that our government had decided to do. It never did. But before we get to that, let's do a little comparison. Our government, which is supposed to promote our economy, and we're going to compare what our government had done to, let's say, the Japanese government, who was completely destroyed after World War II. At the end of World War II, Detroit, Michigan, was a growing, bustling city. Employment abound. Manufacturing was all over. It had hopes for the future. Now, that was Detroit, Michigan, at the end of World War II. At the same time, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were completely destroyed. A vast wasteland. No houses standing. Thousands upon thousands of people had died. Now, today, we're going to take a look at those two destroyed cities. If you can, find them on the internet. See how they are. They have grown into what we would consider an oasis of wonderment. And Detroit is, when you go to Detroit, you have entered the gates of hell. There's nothing there. You all think about that. Why is that? What caused that to happen? A people who had everything has nothing. And a people who had nothing has the whole world. Now, what I'm going to talk about really is things that, and I only get a few minutes to talk about it in my lifetime, that I heard of. Let me ask you a question. Any major body of water, and lake, ocean, gulf, or large river, what areas can we put large electrical power plants with today's technology? Well, you got to take in consideration, you got to get the fuels there, right? Or do you? You got to take in consideration no, you don't. You know why? Because every single square inch of our coastline, including oceans, gulfs, major rivers, and lakes, could have a power generating plant. Well, okay. What would it be running off of? Coal, oil, natural gas? No. None of those. They'd have electrical generating turbines, just like a jet engine, and they'd be running off of hydrogen, which was produced right there from the water. Okay, that sounds good, but look what you're going to get in the net result. Yes, you're going to get, by them taking water and converting it into hydrogen and oxygen, if they release the oxygen into the atmosphere, that would counter a lot of carbons that are released into the atmosphere. What would that cause? Global cooling. Ooh, that could be worse than global warming. Plus, burning this hydrogen fuel they have generated right there on the station would produce an exhaust that was made up and contained water. And then you'd have a byproduct if you were on oceans called sea salt. Yep. Which we find now is healthier for you than salt that's mined out of the ground elsewhere. Now, back in the 40s, late 50s, they talked about us having automobiles no longer running off of oil products, fossil fuels. Completely free of fossil fuels, using hydrogen in the place of gasoline. A fuel-injected engine, internal combustion engine, today could burn hydrogen, just like it burns methane gas. The only difference is its exhaust would be producing, yes again, water. The only pollutants that would come out of that exhaust would be whatever's in the air that went into the engine. Because the engine's combustion would only produce water. Why didn't that happen? In the 50s, they talked about it. A lot of people blame it on the Hindenburg. I think we're going to have to start looking somewhere else, like Congress. Because if our automobiles went to hydrogen, just the automobiles alone, do you imagine what that would have done to the price of oil at that time, which was controlled by you know who? The rich people in this country. Huh? Maybe Congress didn't lately just become greedy. Maybe Congress has been selling us out for a long time. Maybe since after World War II. They've just gotten ridiculous at it now. Nuclear power. Does anybody know where the first nuclear-powered electrical generating station is? I heard rumors to it. I mean, they're all dangerous. Imagine. I mean, where would it be? I heard it's underground in New York City. Imagine that. All these years, since the 50s, been underground in New York City, the most populous city in the country, and one of the top in the world. And right underneath it sits a nuclear power electrical generating plant. Why don't we have more? Wind with generators, they are new and they could be used. But actuality, wouldn't it be something to see off the coast of, let's say, Virginia? Something that looks like an oil platform, but it isn't. It's an electric company. And what it does is it converts the salt water into hydrogen and oxygen, releasing the oxygen into the atmosphere, which it could also burn if it wanted to, and using the hydrogen to run jet turbine generators, jet turbine engines, which turn generators, which produce electricity. Even if the plant broke down, the pollution it would release is nothing. This is something for you all to think about. What has our government done to us? How has it sold us out, and how long has our government been selling us out for the world economy? Imagine today how much oil would be worth, or how much coal would be used in this country if all our cars ran on hydrogen and every electrical generating plant we built was hydrogen powered. Just that alone. How many jobs at the time when they thought about doing this would have been lost in this country? Because we were doing all the oil drilling and the coal mining. Our government. What would happen to OPEC if we started doing that now? What would happen to the Middle East if we started doing that now? Just think. How much is our Congress selling us out so that we could prop up the world economy? Congress, you better wake up, because the rest of the world is going to pass us by like Hiroshima and Nagasaki did to Detroit. And then, what are you going to do? This is JD. Remember, don't vote Republican, don't vote Democrat, vote American. You have a nice day. And these are just ideas.